everyone. My name is Amber Lyn. I am an author, life coach, and co founder of Pathway to Hope. Pathway to Hope is an online supporter community for women. I'm here today with Patrick Doyle. He is a best selling author, counselor, and the founder of Pathway to Hope. So, welcome today.
Thank you.
So, Patrick, we have some questions from your audience actually. We're going to go over today.
Good.
The first one is, how do I build confidence again after being torn down by someone for years?
Well, if you're away from the tearing down, then the number one thing you can do is start to listen to your instincts. Your instincts are always going to lead you to value yourself, whereas the lies or the shame or the whatever, the negativity of the people you're around is always tearing you down and blaming you. Okay? So one of the ways you begin is by identifying where those messages are coming from. I'm the problem, I'm not good enough, I'm defective. And identifying that comes from somebody who's harmful and not well. And then you start to listen to what you want, what you see, what you feel, validating the truth of who you are and what your desires are, which oftentimes feels very uncomfortable and like we're breaking some sort of cosmic rule. But it is the process of how you start to gain confidence, because the truth is there's nothing wrong with you. You've been harmed. That's real. So to undo the harm, we have to see ourselves as the prize and not the problem. And I see this all the time. Unhealthy people blaming the person who is healthy and kind and generous and empathetic, and then they get to be blamed for everything. And when you've been in that for a long time, it's very difficult to get back to you're valuable. And that process is also going to require some significant support. And this is one of the reasons why I created Pathway to Hope, because what I saw was somebody who's in a destructive relationship for years, then gets out or starts to realize it, needs other people around them to validate the beauty of who they are. And at the same time, understand the reality so you don't have to explain it, because you can't anyway. So as you are validated in your experience and then you are validated as a person, things start to change. And that's really what I would say is the beginning of the process.
Got it. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Next question is, how do I stick to boundaries I set, especially when the other person keeps crossing them?
So you sticking to your boundaries isn't a problem. The problem is the other person you're putting them on, who is like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep doing what I want. So, and again, I just want to say this as a principle, like every situation is different. I hesitate to give advice that's specific without knowing the context that someone's in, what the danger level is, what their assets are, what their personal condition is, how long they've been in it, how weak are they, how strong are they, all these things. So in general, what I would say is if someone you're with continues to cross your boundaries, it's not that you're having a hard time sticking to them, it's that you're being harmed by someone. So notice how you're blaming yourself for their actions. And the question, you're blaming yourself. No, you're not the problem. What that reveals is the problem you're with, the person you're with doesn't care. So instead of you trying to change that, one of the things I want you to think about is being in touch with that. Oh, they've been proving for years they don't care. Ugh. So going to the grief of that instead of blaming yourself that they won't stick to your boundary. And as you get clear about that, that's going to change how you want to approach that. And I want you to think about, instead of trying to fix it, I want you to think about living in the reality of it. And that's going to change how you manage. If I realize this person's not going to change in spite of years of effort, then I have a different strategy than I keep giving CPR to the dead guy, like I talk about in my book. So and just let me say, I understand this personally. I know you do, Amber, as well. This is very difficult. And you're going to need some kind of support. Doing it alone, I would say is nearly impossible. So having people around you that can validate what you're saying, and this is why I think it's such a tragedy that the church, as a rule, doesn't get this stuff and doesn't handle it well. If they would be supportive, and I just was a part of a situation a couple weeks ago where the church really stepped in and did a fantastic job, and it was so heartwarming and so helpful for the woman. Massive safety was created because of their involvement. And so this is a necessary reality, again, that you're going to need is some sort of support that can validate the reality and help you move through that. It's really difficult when you have someone who would not accept a boundary. And remember, that's on them, not you. That's a revelation of their harmfulness, not your inability to hold a boundary.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know you have so much more that you've said on boundaries. I mean, we can go deep dive on that. But that's also, you have like a whole course on this in Pathway to Hope. So if any of you are interested in learning more about boundaries, I'd encourage you to go check out Pathway to Hope and yeah, learn more there.
I'm glad you brought that up, Amber, because what we're talking about is so crucial, but it's not very well understood, particularly in the context of a harmful relationship. Now, if you just got two people who are just, not harmful, boundaries are a very different topic. When you're doing it in harm and there's danger, there is some very important nuances that you need to understand, which is why I created that whole video series.
We got one more question. Can you give one example about how it might look to detach in a relationship when I still have to live with the person?
Yeah. So in my book, I talk about this extensively because this is such a common problem. Most of the people I am privileged to work with are people who have a deeply held belief and desire and dream about the outcome of the relationship, about what they wanted, about what they hoped for. And the reason why they struggle with detaching is because they keep giving themselves shots of hopium to bolster that dream they want. In spite of mountains of behavioral evidence over years, decades, the person has given them that they're not going to do it, right? So the number one thing I would say is you have to start to detach by getting honest about the reality you're living in and detaching from the dream. And as you do that, clarity will rise. And as clarity rises, grief starts because we start to see how far we are from where we want to be and how much effort we put in didn't pay off. So then what that starts is a process of us starting to detach from them and starting to attach to us. And that is the beginning of radical and healthy transformation. But detachment is a big topic. I did a video on it. I'd encourage you to check it out.
All right, thank you so much.
You bet.
We created a free resource for you in the description below. Feel free to go and check that out. There's other links too, private coaching, and yeah. So we just appreciate you guys and thank you so much for viewing and for sharing the content. And we look forward to next time. Thanks, Patrick.